think you also have to let go of like this myth that the person that you fell in love with is always going to be the person that you like spend the rest of your life with.
Right.
Because that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
we are all supposed to grow and change. Of course, there's going to be some stuff like that are pretty typical, that don't really change. It's kind of in your DNA or whatnot, but we're all supposed to change. If we're not changing, then what are we becoming? Like, we're supposed to become somebody else. We're not supposed to be the same person that we were when we got married.
Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
Hey, thanks for everyone that sent kind messages from the episode last week. That one was great. If you haven't checked it out, please do. We touched on a topic that we've never touched on, got to hear an amazing story of survival and what it takes to rebuild. Please go check that one out if you haven't. This one's going to be great too. Don't get me wrong. We're going to be talking about the dynamics in a relationship and how they shift after someone gets sober. And this could be after you go through anything major in life. When you have some sort of an identity shift, the entire relationship changes. Maybe at some point you didn't realize it, but you were actually thriving in chaos in some ways as a couple. And that all sort of resets. And then you've got this weird period of time where you're growing at different rates. It's incredibly strange. And then sometimes relationships just don't make it out. You get sober and you look across the table at one another and realize that I don't really like you. That happens. We're talking about some real life examples of this stuff I've seen in my life, why this happens, and actually how some of this showed up in our lives as well. Hey, thank you to today's sponsor, SoberLink. If you're not familiar with SoberLink by now, get with it. Come on. SoberLink is not just a breathalyzer. It is an accountability device. If you're someone like me and you're trying to rebuild accountability, there is an actual device that exists called SoberLink that can help you do that. When self-reporting has failed in the past, when you've made promises, it becomes like the boy that cried wolf, right? People start to lose faith in our words. It's also really tough for family members to police us and, ask us to use a breathalyzer, or ask if we've been drinking, or, hey, come in here and let me smell your breath. Listen, take charge of your life and your relationship and rebuilding trust, and get a SoberLink and volunteer this. You set up a network of people who get notified every time you use the device, and you get to set how many times you want to use this thing per day. Is it once, twice, 4 times a day? Whatever it might be. It's got military-grade facial recognition technology, so the person using the device is guaranteed to be the person that's supposed to be using the device. It's tamper-proof. It is amazing. It is high-tech as it gets in the industry. They are an industry leader. This thing can really help you rebuild trust. I've always said the best way to rebuild trust is change behaviors over time. But for a lot of people, they need validation. They need to know that someone's actually being serious about whether or not they're drinking. And for some other people, they need to know what the difference is between someone having a bad day and someone who's actually been drinking. Or if you're lying, like that can help them too. If you think about it, it's sort of a gift to your family members. So they don't have to question themselves as you're gaslighting them or lying to them about not drinking or drinking. And listen, they're just going to know what's what now. It's an amazing tool for that. Also, for people who are past the point of no return and you just need to make sure that your kids are going somewhere safe, you can get SoberLink written into your custody agreement. It is court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada, and trusted by over 200,000 clients. It is the gold standard in court. Judges are very familiar with this. It is not a problem to get these things written into your agreements. If I'm sending my kids somewhere, I know someone's got a drinking problem, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a concern for me as a parent. I need to know that they're going somewhere where you're at least sober, right? I'm not asking you not to be crazy, but I need you to at least be sober.
Please don't be crazy.
Don't be crazy either. SoberLink is offering our audience 50% off a device. That's right, 50% off a device. Just go to our link, soberlink.com/wheels. Enter in your email address, and they will send you a coupon voucher to get 50% off a device. Again, that's soberlink.com/wheels. And while you're on the internet, why don't you stop over to twfo.com to find out more about us? We've got a newsletter that's actually been in audio form as well here lately.
You've been kind of making a transition here.
A little bit, but a free newsletter that comes out on Mondays. When I write them, sometimes I'll just notify you that I've got an audio one with a few words about it. We've got merch up there if you want to find a way to support the show or rep your favorite podcast. Paige is wearing a sweatshirt right now. We've also got these awesome recovery rocks. These are really cool. People who are getting sober, especially in 12-step, they get these tokens, these little coins, these denote varying lengths of sobriety. And it's kind of like a little award that you get. Our partners' spouses get nothing Sometimes not even a thank you. This is a really cool way to acknowledge their sacrifices along the journey. It's got our logo on the front, and on the back it says, "Thank you for being my rock." It's a really cool way to acknowledge someone's sacrifices and sticking by you through this. We've got hats up there. I think there's a few left, some t-shirts, stickers, lots of stickers for water bottles, as we've both got here. Show them the sticker.
Oh, I washed mine, so
it's a little jacked up.
I've washed it a few times.
Washed it decently, honestly. This thing's been beat up, and it still looks okay. So if you want to support the show, that's a great way to do it. I
put this in.
We'll talk about Independently Strong later, because you're going to want to hear about that too. But that's all we've got. Let's get started on this one.
Okay. So if you aren't aware, there's like a link if you're listening to our episodes that say have an episode idea, click here. Is that what it says?
Yeah. It's only on, I think, actually it might be on Apple Podcasts too, but I'm pretty sure it's a Buzzsprout feature.
It's Buzzsprout feature, but you can see it on Spotify. I think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it there, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Y'all could tell me that I'm wrong, but either way, we get fan mail there is what they call it. And a lot of people will submit some ideas or some recommendations on podcasts that they would like to hear. Sometimes we do them, sometimes we don't. It just depends on the mood. But this one just
most of the time we don't, because you guys ask questions and it's one-way mail. We can't respond to it.
Right. We can't respond to it. Right.
Who sent it.
And you can't really have like one episode on that. I guess we could do like a Q&A of some of the stuff that has been submitted. That'd be fun.
That's actually solid.
We haven't done a Q&A like the two of us together in a long time. But I just wanted to read what this person wrote so that they can get an idea of what the episode is really going to be about. I know that you had an intro, but this is where it came from. And I thought it was an amazing opportunity to talk about this. So what happens when one spouse gets sober and the other one or both realizes the entire dynamic has shifted? It's about how recovery can reveal neither person is who they were when they got married. And sometimes a relationship can't survive that shift because it was built around dysfunction, not because anyone failed, but because the foundation itself has changed. Matt and I have talked about this a lot. He has seen it in the recovery world and people that he speaks with at AA and stuff, right? Like that you've seen this happen a lot more than actual relationships making it.
Yeah, it's really common for people to get sober and go through treatment and the whole deal. And maybe it's not immediately. Some people I've seen immediately. Like I know one guy who got divorced within, I think, a month of leaving treatment. I've also seen some people make it a few years, and that's probably more often the case.
So they give it a shot.
They give it a shot, and they find that they don't get along, like not even close to the way that they did, even in dysfunction and chaos.
Right.
The dynamics have shifted so much. And I'm sure that harm and hurt and trauma in the past plays into this. Don't get me wrong. But I think a bigger component of it is how the family system changes and how the relationship dynamics change and how our roles change in a relationship when you suddenly get healthy. Yeah. And then when the other person's been a caretaker for so long and they're having to manage chaos, it's really tough to figure out where you stand with each other again. Well, and then personalities shift a little too.
Yeah, but also like healing exposes reality. A lot of the times people are in these relationships and a lot of the times they're not in reality. Like there's a lot of dysfunction and there's a lot of denial. So when somebody is starting to heal, a lot of the truth bombs start to come out and it makes it really difficult to keep going.
I like that. Healing exposes reality.
Yes.
Damn, that's probably half the reason it's so scary too.
Right. Because you're like, ooh, denial is a great place to be sometimes. It's familiar.
Yeah, you find out everything when you start to heal and it becomes true. You can't look away from it.
Yeah, but a lot of the times people think, and this is why we always focus on, or this is one of the reasons why we focus on behaviors instead of the substance, is because a lot of people, they think that whenever their partner gets sober or they start healing and they're recovering, they think they're going to get the person that they married. They think they're going to get their person back. But the reality is you're going to get somebody different. And a lot of people don't realize that because you're going to get somebody who is actually changing and shifting and they're healing and you're going to see a different person. So you may not like this person. They may be great, but they may not, their personality just may not mesh with yours. And that's okay.
Yeah, they're going to look like your person. They're going to feel like your person, but there's going to be something that's just a little off. Have you ever seen that movie Multiplicity? It's sort of like that.
Yeah.
That's a funny ass movie that no one remembers.
Yeah. So like I kind of got you back, but I still got a different version of you. And I've been open and honest about like, sometimes I miss the times that we had like in our early 20s or whatever, because we had a really good time. I missed you and the type of person that you were, you were mysterious and it was kind of fun. So
you like bad boys.
I did. I like bad boys. And like, you still keep it interesting. I'm not going to lie. But the first few years of recovery, it wasn't like that. Like you were pretty,
pretty bland.
Yeah. Because you were trying to change into somebody different,
Yeah. It's wild, man. And I don't think that anyone really prepares you for this.
No.
I know in 12 Step, like there's a chapter in the book called The Family Afterward that kind of hints at some of the family role system type stuff, but doesn't really go much further than that. But I've seen it more times than I can count where people in recovery are getting divorced and they can't give you like a hard reason. And I haven't yet heard the line that we just couldn't get over what I'd done. It's usually like, we're just two different people now. Yeah. Like we're just way too different.
Right.
And it makes sense too. You think about, well, I guess it depends also, how long were you together before all of this? You know, where I know for us, we had a lot of established time together before all of this. And
kind of, we were still kids.
We were, kids, but we were growing up together. We were like, we grew in lockstep with one another. And then this phase of your life where you're addicted, you're sort of in this phase of arrested development. You're not really growing or changing a whole lot. You're kind of still like, it's like you're frozen in time as that teenager type person, just with more adult responsibilities, which is why life is really tough when you're addicted, amongst other reasons. And then you get sober and suddenly you've got a lot of catching up to do, and you're going to come out of that process a different person, but not always guaranteed to be the same person you were whenever, in like what, I guess the reasons that you fell in love with me and the person that I was, and some of those little bitty subtleties that you just really enjoyed, even in the chaos. Like, let's be real, like not every day in active addiction is the worst day ever.
Right.
Maybe at a certain point, arguably, but not every day is the worst. Like there are plenty of days where you can hold it together and go have an awesome dinner and you laugh with the neighbors and you have a good time and you stay up late and smoke cigarettes on the porch, even though you don't smoke, just because you're hammered and it sounds like a good idea. Like you have, speaking from experience here, but you have nights like that, and that's not always bad. In fact, those are some really memorable times, and that stuff comes to an end for me. But you never had a problem, so you still want the opportunity to kind of live like that in some ways, and you kind of lose access to that in life.
Yeah,
that changes things tremendously.
Oh, absolutely.
Some people get really square in sobriety too. They get really square.
Yeah.
Like they just go buy the book and it's like, you just married a librarian. Congratulations. Like dude goes to bed at 6 o'clock and he gets up at 4 and just works out, and that's all they do. And they don't ever talk about anything real, and they don't really know how to talk about anything. And you just feel like a stranger in a relationship.
Yeah.
This is common. This stuff happens every single day. And so as bad as you want someone to get sober, also know this is often what happens. I think that talking about it is obviously going to help. Communicating about this stuff, knowing that it's coming, can also help.
I still think it's better than you being stuck in active addiction and chaos for the rest of your life in a relationship that is not built in reality.
Yeah, hell yeah, it's better.
Yeah, I want to make that clear, that don't be scared of your partner getting sober.
No,
if it means
man.
that your relationship isn't going to work out. It can be a beautiful thing for both of you if it doesn't work out, if they get sober and things just, don't work.
And I think a lot of the time too, it works out. It's uncomfortable, but you will get to know this new version of your person, and you'll start to love them for different reasons. But there's always going to be some chunks of it that you miss. And if those chunks are big enough for you, it could be a deal breaker. But I know a lot of other people that have gone through just really tough periods of time, and it could last a few years while you kind of reestablish your roles in the relationship and who you are, and like who I am now versus who I was then, and you coming to terms with all that. And people can work through that. We worked through it. I know like several other couples that have worked through this. And in fact, that they've gotten much stronger because of it. Just depends. Every situation is going to be a little unique and a little bit different.
I want to go back to what you said, that there's like a reading in the AA book about roles.
Yeah.
And the family dynamics or whatnot. It doesn't really like spell it out, right? But now you understand what it means.
It kind of spells it out in some ways. Like I don't have the book in front of me right now, but it's talking about it in the chapter called The Family Afterward. And it talks about the husband coming back into the home. They need to recognize that you were stepping into a family system that has been operating without you. So if you try to insert yourself and suddenly be the head of the home again and in charge of all these tasks that your wife has been dealing with and taking responsibility for, like, you're going to step on people's toes and it's going to cause problems.
Yes.
They give you fair warning that if you try to do this, so it suggests integrating yourself back in slowly, but it doesn't really talk about how to do that, what kind of conversations to have in order to do that. I think if you place all the pieces together, you go through your amends and everything else, and you can kind of make it make sense, but it's not explicitly said like, hey, sit down and ask these questions and say this and do that.
Well, I don't think it's simple. It's that simple. I think that it does boil down to a communication issue that needs to be addressed, because I felt like we went through this. I still think that we kind of go through this, the way that you've really, really stepped up in the past few years, and you've taken a lot of roles that I had with the kids, and I'm very appreciative of it. But now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, well then what's my role now? And I think that this is just common, like with any type of relationship where there's growth involved, and you have somebody who wasn't an equal partnership for a long time, and then finally they're growing up and they're like, okay, now I'm going to step in and I'm going to start, making appointments. I'm going to start doing the things that you were doing. And I appreciate it. And I know people are going to sound like, okay, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And how dare you? Because, all he's doing is what I've been asking him to do forever. This is why women are complicated. At least I am. I'm very, very complicated. But I think when I put it into words, people might be able to somewhat comprehend it if they've been through that. But you took on a lot, and I'm really appreciative, but I'm like, what's my purpose now? What's my role?
Just go ahead and say it, that equal partnership annoys you.
It's not equal anymore.
It annoys you. It annoys you that I'm so helpful.
So I think that the problem is that I stay home. I still work because I do TUFO and independently strong and stuff, but I'm still home. Like I'm still the primary, caretaker. Like I'm the primary house manager, if you will. And I'm kind of losing these roles. So it's just making me feel a little off balance, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out where my purpose is and where my roles, where am I beneficial now? If you're doing everything, like who the hell needs me anymore,
And what you're feeling is, it's well known if you've ever been there, and it's nothing crazy. It's nothing new. I know a lot of business owners really struggle with this. In your business's infancy stages, you're doing everything. You're the accountant, you're the sales staff, your operations, you're everything. And then as you start to grow and you start to delegate, owners sit around like, I feel like I'm not working hard enough. I don't feel like I don't have enough to do. Like there's nothing like what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
And like your job at some point becomes like chief culture officer, and you hire and fire and do all those things. But some people outsource so much that they don't know what their role is anymore, and they feel useless, and they go through these depressive periods where they just feel useless in life because their purpose has been taken from them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good that you understand.
I get it.
But
I mean, I get it. I just think it's hilarious because we were talking about this in a pre-show meeting, and it's like, for so long you want someone to step up and do all these things. And it's funny because what Paige said was, it's really a communication issue. That's what she said. Her idea that she posited was, this is a communication issue. And I was like, I'm going to challenge you on that, because if I've seen any viral videos from female creators about equal partnership, it's always been, I shouldn't have to ask you, or I shouldn't have to ask you, and I shouldn't have to answer questions about what needs to be done. You should just know and do them. But what's funny is that when I do that, you feel pushed out. If I were to ask, I would get my ass reamed for causing too much mental load. And it's just hilarious. Like the whole problem is funny to me.
Right. But I think that we just need to discuss what's going to be taken care of and what's not going to be taken care of, because we end up duplicating efforts if we're not discussing.
Oh, that pisses you off more than anything.
Well, it does, because I've consistently done these roles, and then you've started to come in and do things that I've always done, like scheduling appointments. And like, I'll give an example that our son wrote me a letter from camp this morning, specifically to me, and he wanted me to send him a shirt from the camp store. Well, Matt gets access to the letters as well, so he gets to see what. And I know that when he reads them, we read them at the same time because we get notified at the same time. And I specifically messaged Matt and said, I am going to send him the shirt because Matt would do it without talking to me. And then it would be duplicated, or I would feel like, okay, well, now you just kind of stepped on my toes because he asked me to do it, but then you're going to do it because you didn't think that I would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So that's a communication issue. It's more like, I'm going to do this. I know that I've dropped some balls a lot within the past couple of years because of everything that I've been dealing with. I have not been doing well with balancing.
Drowning over here.
I had been drowning, and you had to pick up some slack. And I think now I'm trying to get back into it, and it's kind of just complicated.
I'll give it back to you.
I just want to talk about it whenever it happens.
Totally
That's what
fair.
I mean by communication. Like,
Totally fair.
as soon as it happens, like, you'll send me the scheduling of appointments. Like, I know you probably already have this, but here it is.
The orthodontist appointment you're talking about?
Yes.
You didn't ever respond to that message either.
Yes, I did.
You did?
I think I did. Maybe I double checked it. I don't know.
I think you left me on
I do
red.
have it probably. I don't know. I do have that. I was like, I set this up. So yes, I do have that. But it's almost like having too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many damn cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's just, again, a communication issue where we can discuss it. I know we totally got off here, but I think that this still kind of goes in.
This is a real, this is a real life example of how this works. And if you're not at the point yet where you can even experience this because your loved one is still out doing their thing,
I know these are good problems to have. I understand that.
Yeah, dude, I think about it. Like, we used to pray for problems like this.
Right. But it also goes to show that we will always have problems.
It's like, you mean we double booked the orthodontist? Oh, shit.
I know. It sounds so like, but still,
We donated twice to the fundraiser at school. You signed him up for the field trip, and I did too. Yeah, we have problems like that now. Fucking thank God.
Yeah, I know. In the grand scheme of things, like, it's very small. And these are the things that you can look forward to if, stick around in your relationship after sobriety and, have these communication problems.
Yeah.
But I am having an identity crisis right now. Okay. So this goes on with that.
Yeah, man. I bet that is tough. I know how it feels in like professional world, but I can only imagine how it feels like in the personal life, because you were always the more responsible one, right? So
yeah. Well, it was my job. It was my role.
So I've never had to turn over things to you necessarily.
Yeah.
It's just been the other way around, and you feel like, hang on a second, like, what am I here for? What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing with my time?
Right. Do y'all really need me? I mean, like...
Yeah, we need you. Totally. Just FYI, in case you were wondering, we definitely do. But yeah, it's along the same lines of that dynamic. And we dealt with some of this when I got home. I think in general, like, the chaos stops and it feels funny. It feels funny. You may think that sounds crazy, but you will know what I mean. You get to this point. When the chaos stops, the pattern of your relationship also changes, because what's the pattern been? It's been essentially like the typical trauma bond type of pattern.
Yeah.
Right. Where you have this crazy blow up, and then you have this huge
love
connection
bombing
after the blow up, and the love bombing, and the reconciliation phase. And then there's a short period of peace, and then there's another blow up. And so you're used to managing this chaos roller coaster. That's pretty predictable. You've got a hump, a flip, and then you've got this slow flat period, and then it just starts all over.
Yes.
And
we used to fight passionately.
Like, hell yeah.
We used to have some crazy
We had the best fights, didn't we?
So then whenever they were fun, but so then when you got sober and stuff, there were times where I would fight, and I'm like, let's fight, and you did not want to fight. Like, you would shut me down. You would, I hated that face that you used to give me whenever you just would not even
make that face.
You wouldn't, it was like, it's just, I can't even do it. I can't
What
do
is
it.
that?
I can't
do it again.
No, because then I'm just going to make the face that I make, that you and Sydney make.
All you
and
do
AJ
is make
it's like,
That's all. The face you made was the one that the kids make when they're making fun of you.
Okay, but I just remember you used to just look me dead in the eyes,
just
like
stone
so
cold.
Seriously, just stone cold. Like, you didn't want to fight anymore. You didn't want to talk about things. Like, you were starting to set your boundaries. You would leave the house, and it sucked. It wasn't.
Oh, you think you're independent now, huh? You want to run from me?
I'm like,
Get your
we
ass
need
back
to talk
here
about
so I can
this.
kick it.
This is important. Like, let's have a discussion. I know that you were just like,
I didn't know how to fight yet. I had no clue how that worked.
You didn't.
I knew I didn't want to do it the way I used to.
No,
but
exactly.
I didn't quite know what it looked like in a healthy way.
But I was fighting like we used to, because I didn't. That's what we did. That's how we rolled.
How I trained you.
That's how exactly. So then when you started shifting and changing, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, do you not have passion anymore? Like, do you not care to have this conversation anymore?
Yeah, I get it, man. It's weird. I know from my perspective, I was just trying to do what I thought was the right thing.
Absolutely.
But there was something I couldn't identify that was like off about all of it. And it was that you weren't receptive to my new way of being.
No.
Setting boundaries or saying, let's get back to this later when we've calmed down, or I need to go for a walk or go for a drive, and I'll come back in 30 minutes after I've calmed down. These are tools that I was told to use by my therapist and like addiction counselors. Like, they were like, this is fair.
I teach people to do this.
This is fair game. You have to do this stuff because it saves you from saying something you'll regret, are getting really angry and this outward display of anger, and like you don't want to put anyone in fear, and so you're trying to do the right thing. But man, like if you're not really talking about this stuff, even if you are talking about, I think the first time it happens, it's going to piss you off to no end, and it's going to feel there's going to be a distance felt between both people because like this isn't us, like this is not us. I feel like I'm in a relationship with someone else,
right?
And that's awkward. That's awkward pain that no one really talks about.
Yeah,
so weird. Yeah, so like who are you now that this survivor or this survival is no longer part of your day to day? Like, who are you now? And it's awkward. Like, how did you early on? Did you enjoy it, or did it just feel strange and you kind of went along with it?
Enjoy what? The fighting?
Peace and chaos. Peace.
Wait, what?
Peace instead of chaos.
I enjoyed it, but also I like it. It still felt really weird. It still felt like it switched so quickly once you got home from rehab, like complete turnaround to where you were just positive and peaceful and trying to work things out, like and working on yourself. And I was just like, this is great and all, but this is weird. It was different. It was like, am I ever like, I still loved you when you were in active addiction, you know, like is there going to be a middle ground here? You know, like I feel like it went from one extreme to the other. Yeah. If that makes sense.
And it really did. Mm-hmm. And how about you and yourself? Like, did you feel like we weren't going to make it, or that you were losing me and you weren't sure if you could be the person that this new me needed? And
yeah. I definitely went through that. Okay. I went through that for sure. I thought that we would grow apart. Like you wouldn't like me anymore because things were shifting and changing, because you were changing, but I wasn't really changing much.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting, though, is that a lot of people in these situations do thrive in chaos. I do not thrive in chaos. I hate it. I do not do well in chaos. I think it's probably an HSP thing for me. Like I just don't, I don't know. Like I know that our bodies get trained to live in chaos, but but for me, like I know when I need to get out of chaos or I'm going to lose it. Like I completely lose my mind. Talk
about independently strong for a second, because as we're talking about all of this, the theme we keep coming back to is that like, you're not going to know who you are anymore. You're not going to know what your identity is. You're not going to know where you fit in your relationship, or maybe in your own mind's eye about who you are and what you can offer people. I think that the course that we designed I mean, it's really what it was designed to do, was to help people find themselves again and reclaim their life.
Right. It's called Independently Strong to help you become yourself again. It doesn't necessarily mean leaving a relationship or even staying in the relationship. It's all about you and how you can build yourself up to trust yourself again. We do talk about trauma bonds, which we discuss on this episode, how trauma bonds do play a part in the dynamics of these relationships. And some are even built on those trauma bonds. So we do discuss that. And then we help you live a life by your values, help you find out what your values are. We talk about self-care, how to take care of yourself, and the relationship dynamics that you're dealing with. It's very similar to what we talk about here, but it's very much in depth in the program that we have. And then you connect with others during a weekly call, going through similar stuff. They're pretty powerful calls. People have gained a lot from the program, from the calls, from connecting with each other, and just learning how to be strong within yourself and knowing who you are.
And how to share that pain too with other people. Like, yes. The community aspect can't be understated enough. It's huge just to be able to put a face to a name and get a phone number of somebody that is going through something similar. Yes. Just knowing that you are not alone in that.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're interested in it, you can go to independentlystrong.com and use code Wheelies75 for 75% off.
It's Wheelies with an S, 75.
And it is built with a licensed therapist as well.
Yeah. Dr. Christopher Taylor is the clinical architect of the course. He makes several appearances after each module and gives the doctor's opinion on everything. It's solid. I love it. I think it still holds up as you're kind of going back through it again. And I
am going back through it again for myself and for others.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Talking about a lot of these like concepts broadly, we're talking about someone who feels kind of left behind. We're talking about these family roles that have changed. And I want to get science-y for a second and talk about some of the things that are actually going on. If you're interested and you wanted to read more about some of this stuff, there are actually some names you can put to some of these concepts and these ideas, or some of these feelings that you're even having. One of them is called differentiation. It's from the Bowen family system. So here's an example, okay? When you get sober, you are taught to start taking care of yourself. And that means you need to develop boundaries to have in your life. You start saying no. That means you might start spending time alone more than you used to. When before the relationship, it was like your spouse is almost a caretaker in a lot of ways. And I think that spouses become used to being needed, like you're talking about with me suddenly encroaching in your territory, feeling needed. It's an important part of your identity to be needed by certain people. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. We talk about this as if it's
wanted, not needed. But now I'm feeling that.
You are very needed, but it's the ability to be a separate self while staying emotionally connected. And it's a hallmark of maturity. This is, I think, what we've achieved at this point, but it took a long time for us to get here, where you kind of have your own direction, your own life, and I have mine, and we are interdependent, but we're also very connected.
Yes.
And we depend on one another as well. But there's a difference between choosing this and then also being like needed because of you're always having to like fix problems and defuse situations, and it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And so how it shows up is that the recovering partner starts to assert themselves and make boundaries, and they start spending more time alone. And then the partner, the spouse, misreads this as disconnection or rejection.
Yep. I went through that.
Yeah. So,
well, it's very similar to like whenever we talk about how recovery is selfish, because it is something that you're taught to do.
Didn't say it was bad. I just said it was selfish. It's true.
But as a partner, it does make you feel a little isolated. It makes you feel like you're alone. It makes you feel like you're not needed or wanted by your partner anymore because they're going off to live their own life or whatnot. And they're not, your dynamics just completely shift.
Yeah.
You're not spending time together at home as much as you were before.
No.
You have another priority. Before you
were my priority.
Kind of, but not really. The substance
would say that.
was right. Right. Okay. That was important actually.
Yeah, I would say that.
You would say that. That's the extremes, this extreme highs.
Yeah, and this is very common when people get into like recovery programs. I know that I see it a lot in 12-step. I'm sure it happens in the others as well, but I just see it more in 12-step where people are like, all they do is go to meetings and talk to people on the phone. And they're always talking to their sponsor. They're always meeting people for coffee. And what they're really saying is, I feel abandoned. Like I used to be needed. I used to have a place in this relationship and I don't anymore.
Yep.
It's not necessarily wrong, but you're just in this phase of differentiation. It's the process of it's like separation.
I do think that we're trying to make that better though, and
I think
easier.
We're speeding it
I think
up.
that TUFO is trying to do that in a different way.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're trying to help because we do have couples within the community that we know.
Shout out couples.
Yes. That are doing it differently than what we've seen people do.
Oh, 100%, man. They're having conversations we didn't have until
it's not
years
just,
later.
They're not super separate. They're still having like conversations together and talking about recovery and listening to the show together too. So they're learning the stuff together. So they don't feel left out of each other's recovery, even though some people do like to do their recovery separate, and that's totally fine too. I do know that.
Yeah, I think it's
if both people are on the same page on that part, you know what I mean?
I'll go out on a limb and say that we're the best at doing this. Straight up, period.
We weren't.
No, this show is for people. TUFO is for people. I think I think it's really helping people have these conversations.
Right.
In a non-judgmental way, because you're just talking about what we're talking about. You're not bringing it up in some way where it might feel confrontational or like you're being judgmental towards someone in their recovery, whatever that looks like. And this can be on both sides of it, right? This can be a spouse too.
You sounded so Californian.
This is okay. This is probably I'm not from California.
You said both.
This is probably also really common. We don't hear about it though because they're not really listeners, but from guys that are still out there in addiction or haven't figured it out what recovery looks like for them. And then they've got a spouse who's really into TUFO and their own recovery. They're feeling this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this withdrawn person kind of feeling, but this is someone just taking care of themselves.
Right.
It just feels weird.
It does. It does. It's just a shift in dynamics. You're making me really nervous with your water bottle next to the
mixer?
The thing.
Our mixer is right over here. I'm going to put this down here. Is that cool?
Is it okay? Thank you.
I don't mind. Have you been staring at that for like 10 minutes?
No, I just noticed it as your hand was doing this and your bottle was right there. And I was like, oh, that's way too close.
Me and the dog already knocked hers over once. So
yeah,
she's got experience here. Something else, role theory. Role theory. I think you can basically assume what this means just by hearing the title is that people take on roles like caregiver, like rebel, shout out me, protector, avoider, to maintain balance in a system. Often unconsciously, we take these roles on. And these roles serve a function in dysfunctional environments. Think about that. They serve a function in dysfunctional environments. So here's how it shows up. The partner who was the quote unquote responsible one, aka Paige, no longer knows who they are now that they're not managing chaos. And the recovering partner, me, is no longer the problem. That was really new for me. It was really strange.
Yeah.
And I may begin seeking more agency, which leads to tension between us.
Yes.
So an example, a wife spent years organizing the household, shielding kids, managing appearances. And when her husband gets sober and starts parenting more, she doesn't feel relieved. She feels displaced, confused, and resentful. Her nervous system doesn't know what to do with the extra space. This will happen to you. Like, mark my words, this will happen to you at some point. Just know when it does, the best thing that you can do is start to talk about this kind of stuff, man. And it's really hard to hear. I think especially if you're in early recovery and you don't quite have the maturity to sit with someone's feelings without trying to fix them. But when Paige is telling me, for instance, hey, I'm struggling with you being assertive. Like the guy brain in me wants to just fix it. Right. So I'm like, I'll just take myself off of all the mailing lists and like, I'll just quit telling you. But that's not what she's asking. She's asking me to be okay with her feelings about what she's going through and to talk more about it, right? If there's anything I can actually do, it's just to have more conversations about it.
Right. And then maybe come up with some solutions, even though there may not be a solution for that problem in the moment. It just might need to be something that needs to be discussed, just talk about it.
Yeah. But if you don't listen to this episode together, what you're going to do is this. You're going to come to them and you're going to say, you need to back out of my shit. You're causing problems. And then it's going to be this huge ordeal. It's going to be this huge fight. It's going to be this
mess.
It's
just the
they're
way
going to
that
be
you
confused
approach it.
too. Like, well, what is I thought you wanted me to help you. Like, what is this? Just y'all got to talk about it, man, and hold space for each other.
Yeah, we need to have a conversation on that.
Both perspectives are valid, right?
Absolutely.
The person wanting to support you is obviously valid in doing that. You've asked for support, but you're equally valid in feeling a little displaced whenever someone does. It takes a little bit of time to kind of get used to your new role.
Yeah.
What do they say? Chris Williamson always says this, identity lags reality by 1 to 2 years. Like, your identity is much slower than the world around you is actually changing. The way that you see yourself often takes much longer to fall into homeostasis than the actual world around you does. It like, think about it just now, like we're probably just now feeling comfortable like doing this show. I am. I know it's just like recently.
Yeah.
But the world didn't see it that way.
No. Right.
That's what's weird is that identity lacks reality.
Yeah. I have no idea what the world thinks. And
you don't even care.
Oh, wait. I'm kind of like in my own little bubble right now.
You don't even care.
I care. I just, no, I care. I think that you have to find that middle ground though of like listening and then still finding your own reality.
Yeah. Then there's the polyvagal theory, which is what we've talked about many times here. And it's the nervous system is always scanning for either safety or danger, right? That's what its job is. Its job is to detect danger. I would argue and say
I hate my nervous system right now.
Never scans for safety. It's always scanning for danger.
You have like your nervous system doesn't do anything. I
don't share with you every crazy thought that I have.
It's not about crazy thoughts. You just no. You don't even have like weird triggers or adrenaline rushes or cortisol spikes or whatever. You don't have these things. And if you do, you don't talk about them.
You denying my truth right now, girl?
Am I gaslighting you?
Yes.
We just had this discussion this past week, though.
No doubt. Mine's calmer than yours. Okay.
Your nervous system has always been calmer than mine.
The nervous system.
It's not, I don't want to, can you please take some of my nervous system? Or does it always scan danger because of the shit we've been through? I don't know.
Well, the polyvagal theory would help give you some answers.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here's how it shows up. Oh, wait, I was going to finish that. The nervous system's always scanning for safety or danger, right? I would just argue danger, but trauma keeps us stuck in fight, flight, or freeze. And healing can bring us back into connection, but not always at the same pace. We did an episode on this about how, I think it was actually called Why Spouses Take Longer to Heal.
Yes.
If you haven't listened to that one, go listen to it. It's essentially an episode about polyvagal theory.
Yes.
So what happens is the sober partner starts to feel more grounded and less reactive. That was me. I started to feel more myself and I was operating better in the world. I felt safer. But the other partner who's been in high alert mode for all these years suddenly crashes. And their body doesn't know how to feel safe without also being hypervigilant, because remember, safety means hypervigilance. It's you constantly worrying. It's you looking for bottles. It's you doing everything you can to find safety in your life. So after years of chaos, he's finally calm and he's regulated, but you start having panic attacks and sleep problems or deep fatigue, not because you're not happy that he's sober, but because your body's processing what you had to carry for all those years.
Boom.
And this is why spouses take so much longer to heal. And this is why my mind is absolutely blown that there's not more support for spouses. No one's discussing this or asking them how they're feeling. Like, why aren't there treatment centers for spouses that deal with polyvagal
We
syndrome?
do talk about this in our program, by the way, in Independently Strong.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But those are some of the, I think, the sciencey, psychological terms that you can kind of put to this stuff. If you're interested and you'd like to go read more about what might be going on with you or why this stuff happens, if you're a nerd like me and you want to look at definitions and things like that, I enjoy it. It's fun. But what you will notice, and we can all feel this, is that there's going to be distance between you and your partner, and it's going to feel really awkward for a while. I will say also something we didn't talk about here is that a lot of people in early sobriety, especially if you've been using drugs or alcohol for a very long time, you forget sort of how to communicate on any kind of intimate level unless you're drunk. And so it becomes really uncomfortable to even have open conversations. You don't really, because I mean, like, it's liquid courage, right? You can say what you want to say and it comes out so smooth, or you think it does anyway. It's usually slurred. But anyway, it feels weird to have emotional conversations. You also don't feel like you have the worth to have those kinds of conversations. It's like, do I just show up day one and insert myself? Do I wait and see? And how long do I wait and see? Like, how does this work? And all the while you might be waiting for me to show up the way that you would expect me to, but I'm not really sure what that looks like. You're not sure. I'm not sure. It's just a really freaking complex time. And a lot of people don't make it out because they're not talking enough about it. Or you might just find that you're old fashioned incompatible.
Exactly. I'm glad that you brought that up, because it happens. Sometimes you're just like, okay, this just isn't for me. And it's okay.
We did an episode one time on complicated grief. It talks about Dr. Pauline Boss's work on complicated grief. And it's this grief that occurs without a resolution. Like, for instance,
there's no closure.
There's no closure. Right. That's a better way to put it. That's what I was looking for, actually. Thank you. Closure. So it's grief with no closure. It's like, someone's lost in a plane wreck or something like that. And you never really find out if they made it or not. Like, you just kind of have to live with this uncertainty, right? And grief doesn't just happen in loss. It also happens in change. This is sort of like complicated grief as well, because there really isn't closure. Like, change is constant. Someone's always changing. And so you can grieve the old them while also kind of appreciating what you have, but you're going to grieve it. And that might be too much to overcome for a lot of people. It really is. Like we talked about it before. I know that you still have moments, especially like when we're on vacation and stuff like that. Like, I'm kind of boring sometimes, maybe. But I don't think I'm that boring, but maybe you do.
I don't think that you're boring. I just don't think that you can sit still sometimes. And that kind of, I don't know, it doesn't irritate me. I guess I could just sit still by myself, but I feel like you want me to come with you all the time and like always be on the go when I'm like, no, I just want to chill. Can I just chill? Can I just sit here for a moment?
I don't sit still very well.
No, you don't. And that's just something that we have to accept with each other. Like, I have to sit still. Like, it's important for me to recharge to do that.
Only time I ever did was usually substance induced. I'll sit still if I'm on something, but
yeah, like we were talking about
usually
in the pool. Okay, the other day, I was like, "Are you going to just float in the pool for a while?" And you're like, "No, that's just boring. I don't just float. Dude. I do it. I love it. I will sit there and just float. I'll float for like 30 minutes. And
I like to see how long I can hold my breath, and then see how long I can dive underwater.
Yes, you will move and you'll jump off.
I can go back and forth
and then
underwater.
you ask me, "What would you do if I did a backflip off the waterfall right now?"
You said you'd be really pissed.
I would be pissed.
Livid.
I wouldn't talk to him for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not be happy. I don't think you'd blame me either.
Okay, so.
But yeah, I had to grieve some stuff and the way that our relationship has changed and shifted. And like I've said, we've been through 3 different lives in our relationship, and I've had to grieve them.
Does it still bother you all these years later? Is it still like, you little shit, you can't sit here and just have a glass of wine with me?
No.
No?
No, that doesn't bother me. Mm-mm.
At one time, though, it probably did, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, okay, why can't we just go have, a steak and a nice glass or whatever? But I know what that could turn into, and I'm grateful that we don't have to do that. NA
beer exists too.
But I'm not just talking about substances, though.
I know.
Just things in general.
Yeah.
That, would have been different.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I also felt a lot of guilt because I feel like I screwed it all up. Like I was responsible for this disconnection. And in some ways I was, right? Like we wouldn't be here if I hadn't gotten so extreme and everything. And it just made things weird. And you really can't do anything about it either. So you both just kind of have to sit with it and decide if it's something you can make work or not.
Yeah.
And so like, what do we do to navigate this shift? Like if you want to actually stay together, some things that we would suggest, I think you really have to be honest and gently honest, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That you have to ask some questions to each other and check in every so often. And we've talked about this in the past, and I forget how I usually put it, but it's like, what's your thing right now? I'll ask you that question. Yeah. Like, what's your thing right now? Like, I know what your thing is right now. You don't have to answer that, but you have to tell,
puzzles.
You have to check in with each other to find out like what you're into right now, like what you're working on, like what are you thinking about? Like, what are some of your thoughts about what you need to work on and what you're changing and what does that look like? And you just have to be okay with the answer that comes out. You can't be holding on to an answer that's going to make you feel safe. Or remember, this is kind of this point in time where you're not going to feel safe. It's going to feel really weird as you're sort of dysregulated and you're coming back into regulation and you're finding what homeostasis is in that relationship again. But you got to figure out like, who am I? Who are you? And have these kinds of conversations with each other.
Yep.
And I think you also have to let go of like this myth that the person that you fell in love with is always going to be the person that you like spend the rest of your life with.
Right.
Because that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
we are all supposed to grow and change. Of course, there's going to be some stuff like that are pretty typical, that don't really change. It's kind of in your DNA or whatnot, but we're all supposed to change. If we're not changing, then what are we becoming? Like we're supposed to become somebody else. We're not supposed to be the same person that we were that when we got married.
I think that this is just another way to say you need to keep an open mind. Keep an open mind about what your relationship could look like and what you could look like, what your partner could look like. What other ways could you find to be happy together? Yeah. Doing things that you might not or ordinarily wanted to do.
Yeah. And these are things that if you're trying to stay together, like if you're really trying to
you're trying to figure it out.
Get a trauma-informed couples therapist who understands addiction recovery a little bit, so that you can have a safe space to have discussions, healthy, honest discussions.
And you've got to learn how to normalize grief as part of the process. It's part of growth. It's okay to mourn who you used to be. It's okay to do that. When you say it, when you tell someone that you're mourning it, it doesn't mean that you're asking for it to return. You're just letting them know that you're sad about it.
Yeah.
And you just sit there with them through that stuff. You can be optimistic and talk about what life can look like in the future, but like, don't try to fix it. Just be with each other as you mourn it, because it does change. And there is a grief associated with it. Yeah. There is. It's not the same. You will not return to square one. You just won't. If it ends.
If your relationship ends.
Yeah, if your relationship ends, it's not because you're ungrateful or uncommitted.
Yeah.
There's much more going on here. Okay. There's so much more.
And it's okay.
It's all right. If no one ever told you that's an option for people, that's an option for people.
It's okay. Even during sobriety, it's okay.
Yeah. And it's because you've stopped living in survival mode in so many ways. And that requires change on your part, right? Two people change, and it's not guaranteed that they're going to make it out together, right? When someone gets sober, they can also change a lot about themselves, not just the way they handle dysfunction or the way they handle like confrontation. Their tastes and everything can change. They might have
their values can change.
I've seen, oh my God, so many weird like midlife crisis eras for people where they get sober and suddenly like they get all tatted up and they want to start like listening to the punk rock music they listened to in high school. And a lot of people will like, I don't know if with a lot of guys anyway, I don't know about the girls. I don't spend too much time with them, but a lot of the guys suddenly want to split from their families and they want to go like date young. And it's weird for some people, like this midlife crisis type personality that they take on. And like, they just change a lot overnight. And you don't have to stick around for that stuff you don't want. Like if that's just an incompatible person for you, it's okay.
Real recovery. I feel like recovery needs to go slower about like, don't make big decisions like that.
People suggest that, but there's no rules for people. They're going to do what they're going to do.
That's true.
Everyone's different. And some people want to go live the life that they've been denying themselves for a long time. In all fairness, on the other side of this, you have an addicted person who maybe has felt trapped in their own skin and their own mind. And they get sober and they're like, my whole life I've wanted to go make pottery in Australia and it's been my dream forever. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And they just go do it. It's like, YOLO, go stay sober and like be happy. Like seek happiness, whatever that is for you. That but it's not guaranteed that someone's going to be there. Like I've dealt with more brokenhearted spouses than I can count who, when someone got sober, the person that got sober left. They were like, I never really wanted to be here anyway. And it's terrible. Like, it's a horrible thing because they've really used you for support to get sober. And then once they're sober, like, you don't even get to enjoy the, you know, the clean version of them. They just disappear. A lot of people do that kind of stuff. And there's just, you know, I wouldn't tolerate it. That's all I'm saying. And then it's just good old fashioned incompatibility. Like, you're going to find that you just got different tastes. Maybe you didn't know them as well as you thought. Maybe they didn't know who they were. And once they introduce you to that person, you're like, I'm really not into you. They give you the ick, as people put it now in 2025.
You hate that.
Dude, it's so silly. Ick. I get it. I know what it means, but
I know
it's secondhand embarrassment, right? You give me the ick. Like, but come on. Some of the shit people claim ick over, give me a break. Anyway, what else do we got here?
I think we just need to close it out.
That's it.
Yeah. Like, basically just know that, it's okay if things don't work out. It doesn't necessarily mean it's anybody's fault. It could just mean that it's time to move on and try something different. Your dynamics have just shifted and, you know, maybe that person's just not who you want to be with anymore. It's okay.
A totally valid possibility. And from like what we've done, even when you do make it out, there's going to be long periods of grief and weirdness and, you know, this differentiation as you're trying to like settle back into new roles and what that actually looks like. You're going to step on each other's toes, and it's not without its problems too, right? There's no easy way out here. No. It's difficult either way. Just choose your heart. Whatever heart you want, choose that one and go for it. We're here to support you and love you along the way, every step of the way.
Yep.
All right, that's all we've got. Until next time, I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.